Everyone. Welcome back to our Namaste Village morning session, the Namaste Experience. And we are going to have an experience today. But before we get going, I want to start off with our morning affirmation prayer, our declaration of wholeness. So I'm going to go ahead and bring this up on the screen, and then you guys can all join me. So here we go. Oop, there we go. Okay. Join me. Here we go. My soul has but one goal: to awaken to the truth that is forever true. My heart has but one desire: to remember the passion of infinite bliss. My mind has but one focus: to embrace the reality that is forever real. I choose to awaken now to the infinite love that is my source. Let's say that line again. I choose to awaken now to the infinite love that is my source. I give everything to this love, just as it has given everything to me. I am awake now. Okay, everybody unmute. Make sure you unmute your phone or your computer. How is everyone today?
Everyone.
Awake
Awake
and
and
ready.
How
ready.
feels everyone today?
Awake
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 and
and
ready.
ready.
Awake and ready.
Yay.
That's what we are here for. So I'm going to go ahead and mute everybody again. There we go. Excellent. We are awake and we are ready to go. We are ready to step into an experience that has always been inside of us, always been everywhere around us, everywhere at the same time. Now, that being said, I want to share something before we really get started. You know, this is just to begin a testament to our dear sister Vicky and her great love for me and for everyone. A couple of years ago, Vicky was here at, well, I'm not at Namaste Village at the moment, but here in Mexico, she was at Namaste Village. And because she loves me so much, she decided to watch a movie that is not a Vicky movie. We'll just say that. It is a movie that I personally find great wisdom in and great transformation. And she decided, because I found such power in this film, that she would give it a try. And that movie was The Fight Club. And of course, Vicky hated it. She did not like it at all, but it showed willingness, her willingness to give it a try, even though she knew she was not going to like it. She still gave it a try, and I so appreciate that. Now, that being said, there is a movie that I saw last night that I'm not even going to try and talk Vicky into watching, because it is the weirdest, most bizarre, strange, and yet transformational film I've ever seen. And it's a movie we talked about just 2 days ago, but I finally got around to watching it just last night. And the movie was the film that won the Academy Award, Everything Everywhere All at Once. Oh my gosh, what a strange movie. I mean, I didn't even think it was possible to make a movie that was this bizarre. And I'm going to have to watch it 3 or 4 more times just to fully understand what the heck was happening. And yet, it was the most maybe the most transformational film I've ever seen in my life, even though I didn't really fully understand it. So I'm going to go back and watch it again. And I just thought I would mention this because it really shows that that whole mind where everything is happening all at once is revealing itself in so many tremendous ways right now. And this film is certainly one of them. So if you are brave, not you, Vicky, don't even try. You're not going to like it. But if you're brave and you haven't seen it yet, it was so well deserving of the Oscar. But I'm telling you right now, it is bizarre and strange and wonderful. So I just thought I would mention that here at the beginning because I I watched it last night and it was just such an experience. But Vicky, once again, you know, you proved yourself with the Fight Club. Don't even try and go anywhere near everything, everywhere, all at once. But I do want to share something about the bliss that I know we're all feeling, the love, the light, the joy that is welling up inside of us as those shackles, those egoic shackles and chains begin to fall off. And we find ourselves experiencing a new kind of freedom. In many ways, that's what that film is all about. When you realize that everything is happening all at once and that you're part of an essential part of that, the bliss that builds within you is absolutely incredible. So I thought what I would do is read just a little bit from the Master Teacher Within, which is just almost ready to come out. I think next week we're going to have it launched. And as you know, we're going to be giving away 10,000 copies of this book for free because I believe that it is tremendously important today. Let me just read a little bit about bliss, and then I'm going to turn it over to Vicky and hear what she has to say about this. The bliss you're beginning to feel within explodes like a million suns, yet is as simple and small as a single flower. It explodes inside of us like a million suns, and yet is so simple, like a small flower. When your mind is focused only on the beloved or only on love itself, you realize that the beloved is always focused only on you. This is a very interesting statement and very true. When you focus wholly and completely on the beloved, you realize, you experience that the beloved is wholly, completely focused on you. But, here we go. But not the you that you've claimed, but the self with a capital L, S, that was claimed before time began. The truth of you, the beloved, is wholly focused on that truth. It's this divine self that sees only itself and knows itself to be all in all. You see how that segues perfectly from that movie? Everything, everywhere, all at once, the all in all, that wholly perfect self that is completely held within the sacred embrace of the divine, this and every moment. And we may wander away from that, but it never wanders away from us. Our attention might diverge, but the attention of the beloved upon that one, the one self, never diverges. This is the greatest and most beautiful and important news that we can ever learn. And when we do, that bliss begins to fill within us. Raise your hand if you've been feeling that bliss just filling you lately. You know that something is happening, something organic, something sacred is moving within you, and you find yourself happy for no reason and happy for every reason. Your happiness is not contingent upon what's going on out here anywhere, but everywhere within. Everywhere within. Let's read a bit more. As you surrender your limited self or your limited sense of self, you enter into a state of union with the beloved. In this state, the only thing that exists is pure love. There are no boundaries, no limitations, and no fear. All that remains is the infinite nature of the self with a capital S and the ecstatic joy that comes with it. The ecstatic joy of your awakening. When you are happy for no reason and for every reason, somehow they become the same thing. Every reason and no reason become one reason. And then you find yourself embraced within that state of oneness and wholeness, the all in all that was just described a second ago. It's all happening inside you. And there's like this breaking free into the light. You've been moving through this dark tunnel for so long that you think of as the world, where you project all of your ideas, all of your concepts onto the walls of this dark cave, as opposed to breaking free into the light, which is what's happening to you right now. And the overwhelming bliss and joy that you begin to feel is the proof that this is real, that this is happening. So when you begin to feel that joy welling up inside you, feed it. Keep stepping back more and more into the grace, into the light that holds you every instant, the beloved that is everywhere at once. I love how that movie can play itself into even a lesson like this, but let's read a little bit more before we bring Vicky on. This state of being is not something that can be grasped or held on to, for it is beyond the mind's ability to understand. So don't try and get it intellectually. It's a state of pure awareness, where there is no division between subject and object. You realize that you are one with everything, for everything is one with you. You are one with everything because you now realize that everything is one with and in you. In this state, there is no need for words. There is only the language of the heart. You communicate with the beloved through feelings and sensations. And there is a sense of knowing with a capital K that surpasses all intellectual understanding. So the intellect, the mind, can never understand everything, everywhere, all at once. It can make up a very bizarre movie that kind of sparks that within us. But the reality of that experience, that which is moving through you and in you and all around you right now, bringing about this state of elation and eternal bliss, that's the only thing we need. That's why I'm telling Vicky, don't even bother watching the movie, because you already have it. Every single one of us already has it, whole and complete within us. Now, if you do want to watch a pretty great movie that you will not understand, because even I didn't fully get it. I think I will go back and watch it a couple times, but oh my gosh, it is the most bizarre film I've ever seen. And yet, this whole place is the most bizarre thing we've ever seen too. This whole world is the most bizarre thing ever created, because it's trying to prove the impossible, that you can be separate from all that is, but you can't. So just relax into that, just as it has always relaxed into you. All right, Vicky, I'm going to turn it over to you now.
Okay, Brother James. Well, I have a lot to say today, but thank you for all that. Bonnie's here with me this morning. There she is in the background. But first of all, it was with great love that I watched Fight Club. And I'm glad I did, because it made me laugh. And thank you for receiving the gift of love so open-heartedly, open with your open arms. And I did watch the trailer to Everything, Everywhere, All at Once, or whatever it is. And I knew from then, forget it. There's not a chance I would watch this. So I knew that wasn't going to work. But what I realized, I was really sitting here the other day saying, I really don't have anything to say. It's really as simple as drop it and rest into love. And I'm thinking, Jimmy's going to have to shut me down one day because I don't say anything. I said, and I really said to the Holy Spirit, like, what's going on? How come, like, is it this simple? And it is this simple, but I'm going to put it in context for a moment. So here's a little history lesson. There was a man named Herb Benson. Some of you might know. Herb Benson, John Borisenko, who I got to know years ago, started the Mind Body Clinic at Harvard in Boston, at Mass General and Deaconess and all the big hospitals here. And this was in the late 70s and the early 80s. And it turned out to be the seed that opened up the whole mind-body connection to the mass consciousness, to bring it out of not yet into prayer. In fact, Joan Borisenko did her very first prayer retreat at our house in Situate years ago. Up until then, they were trying to keep it in a scientific model, how it worked, how relaxation and all this eased stress and was healing. And what has happened since then, in my experience, has been all of the paths and spiritual disciplines and all of the flourishing of what has been known as this spiritual revolution that's been happening that we've all been part of. And many of us, if not all of us, were at that threshold in the late 70s or 80s. And it's exploded with Deepak Chopra and Joe Dispenza and everybody talking about all wonderful things in the movie The Secret and what the belief and all those things celebrated mind-body connection. And that was all well and good. But where we are now, and you said it the other day, James, when you said the provisions that got us here are no longer necessary or useful or helpful where we are now, none of them. And that's the truth. This goes back to what Scott was singing about this morning. I wrote it down. Heaven goes unnoticed if you don't realize you're there. And the only thing you have to do to realize, the only thing any of us have to do to realize it is what the morning prayer is. Be all in. I mean, all in. All in 100%. So what does that mean? Drop it. Anything that's bizarre, just drop it. Are you still fascinated with bizarre? Not me. Drop it. I want that true joy and bliss that comes out of that open spaciousness, that heart place, that place of love that doesn't even, you can't even describe it as love. It just is what all is. And what we are now, the mind, body, soul, the mind, body was the playing field, the classroom. We're in the mind, body, soul connection now. The name or the feeling that I get is that there's an opening that we are standing, all of us, on the threshold of. It's not a collective consciousness in terms of mass consciousness quite yet, but we have been part of it, and now we are in it. There is nothing to say except drop it. If it isn't joy and love, it isn't. It's that simple. And paying attention to what isn't is like trying to figure out the drawings of a crazy cartoon. What for? It has no value. It's not a provision that's necessary or helpful anymore. What's valuable is recognizing what is and dropping the rest like a hot potato. Just drop it. The best practice, if you're going to have a practice, just drop it. And Bonnie came this morning and she read me this beautiful little message. And all it was recognizing the singing of heaven that's going on all the time. Heaven is singing to us. Our Father's love is calling us. We are being enveloped and cared for. But we cannot experience it unless we're all in. And part of being all in is dropping the provision. So it just ain't so. Drop it. There's nothing else to do. But it does take, for me, so what I'm seeing is this open field that I feel like we've opened to, that the whole consciousness is awakening to. This is what the Great Awakening is, and it is us. It's us opening up to this field, and in a second, the whole sonship, in and out of time, is opening to it. And it's just an honor and a grace to be part of the beginning of it here in time, because it is all there is, but it doesn't exist if we are not all in and realize it, enjoy it, open to it, appreciate it, relax into it, pay attention. It is always just right now. And no matter what the problem has been, that's why no matter the problem, love is the answer. But it's more than those words. It means dropping it. It means dropping the need to understand, to think, to figure any of it. And bless you, my words are true. To rest into this truth that has always been true. God is all I need. God is all we need. That was Scott's other song. Rest into what is already there. That's why it's no resistance. That's why in my defenselessness is my safety. Not even using forgiveness as a tool of being defenseless. There's nothing. The old provisions are not necessary. If they're still helpful, be helpful. This my friend Katya was telling me about some native and in native African tribe that she visited a few months ago. And he said to her, you know, we can't understand you Westerners. You spend all this time, you know, doing all this healing work, and you spend lots of money and all these processes, and you do ceremonies and you do therapies and you do all this stuff. He says, you know what happens when one of us has a problem? We drop everything. This is like take to your bed. They drop everything. This is the shaman speaking. And he said, we come together. We come together. And what he's saying is we're all in. Everyone drops everything. Everyone comes together in this little village in Africa and with the shaman, and they forget about everything else. And they sing and they drum. They literally sing their way into the light. Instead of paying attention to any of the darkness, they stop. But they are all in. No one has an agenda. No one has to take care of anything, go anywhere. They sing and drum through the night, and by the morning, the darkness is gone. It's dispelled, because it is impossible for any of us to sit in the light and be all in with our attention, our willingness, our devotion, our everything, and not have the light break through, because there's nothing to break through. There was no darkness to begin with, but it is us to experience that. It's one thing to talk about it, but when we put ourselves all in, whatever the dark grievance thought or whatever thought it was that was occupying space, if we don't feed it, feed the wolf, it literally does disappear. And it's not that the light breaks through, the light's all there was. And now we can recognize it because we can enjoy it. The joy of enjoying the simple moment of now. There's nothing else to do. If we have to say it over and over again, I have to say it over to myself, so I'll do it, then I'm willing to do it. But that is all that is true. Nothing else is so. It is an awakening to what is already there. It's been in every prayer, every single thing we've done. It's what holiness is. It is that experience of bliss that has just sweetness about it and joy about it. And those words don't sound right either, but it's what is. And however we help each other stay there, be there, we pray together, we laugh together, we watch movies together. It is that simple. And I don't want to compound it in any way by making it more difficult. It's got to stay that simple. It is that simple. So that's what I have to say. It's the soul time of the soul, time of whether we call it Christ or oneness. You know, there's a lot of talk duality, non-duality. That's all fine and good, but this is what we are. This is the time of our soul. That's it, an awakening to it. Thank you, James. Thank you, everyone. I love you guys. I love you all. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
We love you too, Vicky. Thank you so much. We are blessed indeed. And I love I love everything you said, but the very last thing, stop trying to get this with your mind. Stop trying to figure this out and realize it already has figured you out. And when you figure that out, it's over. It's done. You can just relax. You can just fall back, let the rest of it go. You know, back when I lived in Ashland, Oregon for many years, and for a very long time, we had a weekly poker game at Neil Donald Walsh's house. So a bunch of friends, we would get together at Neil's house. He loves to play poker. And there was one friend in particular whose name is Robert. We called him All In Robert, because on almost every hand, he would just say, I'm all in. He would just push all of his chips to the middle of the table. And it didn't even matter if he had a good hand or not. I'm all in. And he would lose so often. But then he would buy back in. He would lose. He didn't really care. He didn't worry about losing all of his chips because he knew there was an infinite supply of more. He could just buy back in. The next hand, I'm all in. And every once in a while he would win, and then suddenly he would have this huge pile of chips. But I realize even then that this is what we are being called to spiritually, just to don't worry about the rest. Don't, the basic theme and message of that movie that I saw last night was don't worry about it. None of this even matters. Do you know how small this little world is that you're trying to control? How little it all really is, when there's this enormous universe going on all around you. And even that, with all the trillions of stars and planets, even that is so small. So don't worry about it. Don't give it another concern. Just go all in. Give everything, because it has already given everything to you. So Vicki, thank you. That's going to be our lesson for the day. So just find ways that you can do that today. Find some way that you can go all in. Give it everything, because everything is giving itself to you this and every moment. So thank you, everyone. And to this message, we say, Amen, Amen, Amen,
Amen.
Punto. And so it is. We love you guys. Thanks for being here.
Love you. Have a
Bye.
great day.
I love you all.
Have an amazing day.
I love you
See you
too.
tomorrow.